There's something in the human spirit that craves diversity. People share an urge to learn about other cultures by reading or traveling. There's growing religious pluralism in our country and an increased interest in experiencing the spiritual practices of other religions. Among Unitarian Universalists, there is also a very real longing to be in a spiritual community where we are surrounded by the sacred gift of otherness. We revel in diversity. Norbert Chopek knew this need well when he created the Flower Communion. He was not satisfied for his community to be a plain and simple church. He wanted theirs to be a beautiful church. So do we. The current tenor of discourse in this country seems to belie the idea that humans share this desire for diversity. The xenophobia, racism, and sexism we are seeing might lead us to think that diversity is undesirable and fosters hatred, at least in some segments of our population. The gift of otherness is not always received as a gift. Being amid people who are just like us can be a lot more comfortable. The truth is, diversity can trigger fear and discomfort in politics and in religious community. Individuals need only search their own lives with fierce honesty to see that we each embody aspects of that fear and discomfort within ourselves. Diversity challenges us to change, and most people don't like change. And yet, embracing diversity is a profound cry of the human heart and spirit, and a need we all have, whether we know it or not. Encountering the other is the path toward wholeness and healing for all of us. Reverend Fred Muir says, diversity means embracing otherness and in so doing, becoming whole. None of us can be truly whole until all of us are given a voice and a place at the table. The Unitarian Universalist principles promote the spirit of otherness. We affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person, not just those like us. Our call to justice and world community, as well as the affirmation of interconnectedness among humans and non-humans, urges us toward greater inclusivity. Over the past few months, I have had the opportunity to visit a variety of communities I am not regularly a part of. I spent time with progressive African-American Christians, with Hindus and Buddhists, as well as Unitarian Universalists. And each of those experiences brought me into a new understanding of otherness. At an anti-racism conference in Houston, I worshiped and learned side by side with progressive African-American Christian leaders. I was there, so obviously everyone was not black. There were a few white people, also Jews, Latinos, and Latinas. I felt welcome, even as I found myself experiencing otherness, both feeling myself to be other and having an awareness of the diversity around me. Marcus Aurelius said this simple but I think really profound thing. He said, "We are the other of the other." How true. We are the other of the other. Sometimes the members of a community, the people who hold the power especially, forget that they too are the other. At the conference, I became aware that the preachers and the worship leaders were using the term we. We're using this we throughout the conference. One of the recurring messages was that we need to find ways to hear the voices of young people, of millennials, and those who are not in our churches. They were not talking about Unitarian Universalist churches. They could have been talking about our churches, but they were directing their attention to the traditional black church and launching an important self-critique. I was awakened to the struggle of the black church to be more age diverse. I never thought about the black church having to struggle to be more inclusive of young people. I think of white churches as the ones needing to work on diversity, not black churches. But why should this be so surprising? Most religious communities have to wrestle with how to be faithful in sharing power and pushing beyond their own status quo, whatever that status quo might look like. Religion can be one of the most conservative on preserving tradition. Tradition is important, but revelation, openness, is also important, because without it, the result is to block certain people and certain ideas from full participation. Unitarian Universalist congregations, like other faith communities, are challenged to make space for the bodies and voices of the other. Despite our espoused desire for diversity, people of color, immigrants, transgender and bisexual people, millennials, people with disabilities, Christians and Muslims, as well as others, too often find themselves outside or on the edges of the circle of our community. The flower communion we celebrated today embodies what Reverend John Crestwell, a Unitarian Universalist minister of color, calls life's beautiful assortment. May we revel in the beautiful assortment. May we honor all the colors and all the flowers of who we are as a community. But this morning, let us also hold fast to our aspiration for a truly multicultural community, diverse in so many ways that we may not yet even imagine them all. Let us revel in the colors and the flowers, not only of those who are here, but also of those yet to arrive. Think of the flowers still here on the table. I offer each of you this challenge this morning. Do not lose hope. Hold on to the dream. I want to come and go to the land where we are bound with a beautiful assortment of people. That is the land of freedom and justice. I believe that it is within our reach. I can see it. And I confess to you that when I came here 12 years ago, I could not see it. I did not think it was within our reach. But I believe it is, because I can see it. Can you see it? Can you see it? I hope you'll reflect on that this week and in the weeks to come. Let us all learn to see anew the vision of who we want to be. Amen. Blessed be.